Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing a used Toyota Tacoma. This is the new 2024 model year truck with some miles on it. It's got over 20,000 miles, which I know is not extremely high miles, but this is the highest mileage one that I have seen, so I want to see how well this has held up so far. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Southtown Imports for giving me some time with this Tacoma. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Now first off, powering the new Tacoma is a turbo 2.4 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. You can also get it with a manual. But this powertrain produces 278 horsepower and then 317 pound-feet of torque. Now before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now this particular truck is a Tier D off-road, which is one of the most popular packages for Toyotas in general, right? Because it's kind of like you're more off-road oriented, but then it's not the crazy expensive Tier D Pro or new Trail Hunter, for example. It's got some nice stuff like fog lights. You got a more aggressive approach angle. But anyways, taking a look at the front end of the truck, there's not really going to be much to go over with this when it comes to general wear and tear. I will say Toyota did a pretty good job though with where they had stuff unpainted versus painted, because it looks like it's held up pretty well when it comes to like rock chips and all of that. That's one of the biggest things with the front end of the vehicle. Anyways, these fender flares here, this is something that, you know, with some manufacturers they can start to kind of peel up and all of that, but I'm not really noticing that with this Tacoma. You can see pretty darn tight overall. I mean, down here at the bottom, no, it's tight. So not too bad. And then the tire wear, so it looks like this is on the original tires here, judging by the tread wear. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, that's for 20,000 miles, that's actually not too bad at all. So they actually did pretty good tires from the factory. Toyota usually does softer tires. And then it'd be interesting to see what the ride quality's like. I mean, that'll tell us how these shocks, right, the Bilstein shocks have held up. Bilstein usually does pretty good shocks though, so that should be good. But overall, I mean, the exterior of the truck so far, again, like I said, 20,000 miles, not an insane amount, but it seems like it's held up. See how the tailgate is. Sometimes these new truck tailgates can get kind of, yeah, no, the dampening's still solid. Got the composite bed here, which is definitely a nice thing to have. But yeah, I mean, so far, so like, again, with the exterior, it seems like it's done pretty darn well. And then this leads us inside. So the back passenger area is going to be the area with the least amount of wear. I think this is interesting with the white, but it's still, you know, worth looking at with the seats. So these still pretty much look like brand new. Yeah, it's a nice setup. Oh, this is one thing I was kind of interested in seeing, is how Toyota's new cloth would hold up, because their cloth trim's a little bit different this time around. And this stuff is all held up amazingly well. That's one thing that Toyota does a good job with is, I mean, this is just straight up plastic, but still the door panel trim where it doesn't really show wear and tear. But the driver's seat, this is going to show the most wear and tear of any seat in the truck. And you can see even after 20,000 miles, like there's a little bit on the bolstering showing here. But again, it's done pretty darn well so far. And then this leads us inside, which this is actually surprised me. So this little part on the Tacoma is kind of, I don't know, when I reviewed the new trucks, it has a little bit of wiggle. It's still solid. So that surprised me that that's actually held up so well, considering that it, I don't know, something that kind of wiggles. Now the steering wheel does show some wear after the 20,000 miles. You can kind of see with the hand oils, it does affect the steering wheel. That's where, like, I'll be interested to see how my Land Cruiser holds up with its soft text steering wheel versus this. I can't remember this. I think it might be, I can't remember what it is. Look at the gauge cluster on this. Kind of interesting. Just low tire pressure because of the cold. It happens. We've got backup camera and all of that with this. This is kind of more of a basic trim, so like you've got single zone climate, but you still have the 2-speed transfer case, multi-terrain select, and all of that, rear locking differential as well. And again, this is another thing that, like, this is what all the Tacomas do, brand new even, with the glove box. Yes, it does do that from the factory, but it hasn't, like, the positioning hasn't moved. So it seems like some of my critiques of the new Tacoma, I don't know, like, and same thing here, like this is another piece that still feels like the same loose as it does from the factory, but it's not any more loose, if that makes sense. And then the center console, like this is another area where elbow's there all the time, but again, like the closing and opening function feels pretty darn solid. So yeah, I mean, I think the best thing to do next is just take this out and drive it and see how the shocks and everything feel. But 20,000 miles, it's doing better than I thought it would have done initially. Well, let's set off in this Tacoma. And don't you guys worry, as the years go on and as these new generation Tacomas get more miles, I do plan on, and I think I should probably just add this as like a mainstay in the channel. I do plan on doing reviews with those to see how well it holds up longer term. But I mean, still, first year, it's good to see just how well the truck is doing. A little bit of a tight fit here, but not too bad. That's why mid-size pickup trucks are nice. Yeah, so I think it's, you know, first year quality, because here's the truth of modern cars. A lot of modern cars after the first year are just clunkers, right? I mean, I've owned a bunch of Fords over the years, so I'm gonna say this because, you know, from an ownership perspective, it's like you put 10-15,000 miles on a Ford and it just turns into a tin can. Like the door starts to kind of creak and rattle, and this, I mean, my Raptors, all the sunroofs creaked and rattled. And so it's I would say super disappointing to say the least, in terms of just the short-term durability of the Ford product. And so yeah, I mean, this might seem like low miles for a Toyota, but for, I don't know, a lot of other modern cars, 20,000 miles, and yeah, a lot happens. A lot happens at that point. I would say the seats are comfortable, so that's a big plus. I do think this white trim is interesting to kind of see across the dash. It's a little bit different compared to what I'm used to seeing in the new Tacoma. Man, there's a lot of traffic. I was not expecting that whatsoever. Yeah, we're good to go. Now, something that's definitely controversial with this is this new engine. Performing just like the new ones. Yeah, super smooth with the power band. It's not skipping a beat. Something to note, and since this is a video that talks about reliability, something to note is some people have had transmission failures with these new Tacomas. And the thing that's really weird is it's only with the non-hybrids that I've seen. And I noticed that with Toyota. With the Tundras, all the Tundras that are having engine failure, non-hybrid. And it's like all the Tacomas that are having transmission failure, non-hybrid. So it's something's happening with the non-hybrids versus the hybrids. Not sure what it is. It's quite a bit of wind noise right there. Forgot about that with the new Tacoma. I had a Trail Hunter for a week. And again, it's not bad, but it's noticeable. It's definitely noticeable. Man, the visibility right now, I usually try to film car reviews earlier than I am right now, but today's just got dragged out a little bit. It's like the sun's just right there in my eyes, blinding me. Suspension seems fine. Again, I wasn't too concerned about the suspension holding up because I've owned several vehicles with Bilstein shocks, and Bilstein they do such a good job with their shocks. They're firm, but they just hold up really well, even over like just absolute torture testing. They just hold up well. And my Ram TRX, for example, gosh, I jumped that truck like 50 plus times, and those shocks did just fine. They weren't struggling at all. So yeah, Bilstein does a good job. Bilstein definitely does a good job. So I guess this will get us into summing things up with this little Tacoma test. And like I said, more to come in the future. And obviously on my personal Land Cruiser, I just hit, I can't remember how many miles I have on that now. I'd have to look at my mileage log. I think I'm getting close to, I think I'm around like 5,000. I'll be putting a lot of miles on that. You know, I drive a ton of miles, so it'll stack up quickly, but see how that holds up, because it has the same engine as this, just with a hybrid. It's crazy how much slower the non-hybrid feels compared to the hybrid. I've said this, and I'll say it again, I think that Toyota should just ditch this non-hybrid. They should just go all in and only sell the hybrids. I don't think it would hurt their sales at all. So yeah, the new Tacomas, it's doing well. Again, all of my worries about the initial build quality pretty much don't exist. And here's my thought. Here's the best way to describe it is I was concerned about the new Tacoma holding up and the new Toyotas in general because Toyota keeps getting more tin can like, right? You close the door, and the Land Cruiser really shows this. You close the door on a 100 series Land Cruiser tank. 200 series, kind of getting tin canny. The new 250 tin can. So I'm like, okay, everything kind of sounds cheaper, feels cheaper, like there's wiggle with this stuff. So I'm just, again, thinking this is gonna fall apart. It's gonna be like a Dodge, right? Where you put miles on it and the interior starts to just decay. But so far, everything still feels just as tight as brand new. And so even though it feels kind of more tin can-like, it seems like Toyota did a good enough job that it doesn't get any worse so far. We'll see long term, but so far, I'm impressed. Honestly, this is doing, yeah, I'll park there. This is doing better than I expected. Let me know what you guys think about the initial kind of quality with the, again, 20,153 miles with the new Tacoma. Are you impressed? Depressed? Let me know.